The math routine is called Would You Rather. I have listed both the website here and the Twitter handle of the author here. And so if you are interested in some other Would You Rathers, you can definitely check that out. And I'm going to attempt to keep the heart of the routine intact and simply show ways that you can do this routine in a virtual environment. To do that, I'm focusing on three specific moves. They are on slide 7. The first comes right from the author, choose a path and justify it. We're going to type a response on a slide for one side or the other. And then we're going to have a little bit of dynamic time where we move things around and use the microphone to share out. And I'm going to be looking at emojis during this phase. If you find that you're thinking like, gosh, I want to switch, there's going to be a specific emoji to use, and that's going to demonstrate that out to the class. All right, so let's explore it. Let's have a chance to do this like a learner, and then we'll come back and talk as a teacher. Slide 8 has our scenario. Which one would you rather have? Evenly split the remaining brownies in scenario A or scenario B? Notice that scenario A is sharing with 5 friends and scenario B is sharing with 6 friends. There are spaces for you to write a response on slide 9 and 10. If we need more room, we can head to slide 11, but I think 9 and 10 is all we're going to need. So you're going to pick the side you want, and you're going to give an explanation right there in that little sticky note. If you're just joining us, here is our link. We're doing Would You Rather. It starts on slide 8, and people are responding on slide 9 and 10. And welcome if you're just joining us. We're on slide 9 and 10, deciding which brownie we would rather share. And if you notice your sticky note changing color, that's just a cue that we're going to discuss this one a little bit more. All right, it looks like most people have a response down. We are going to explore some of these a little bit more. And so I have selected 4 that I would like to talk about as the teacher that, are going to, in a sense, lead into our discussion. I do like my students to know ahead of time if I'm going to call on them. It helps to ease microphone anxiety. So one of the things that I do is give you a highlighted box there. All right, so we're going to head down to slide 12. In our first justification, it was static. The picture could not move, and that meant that you had to kind of do some reasoning in your head. This next one, all of these little A's and B's can move independently and they are transparent. So if it helps when you're describing your situation, you are more than welcome to move them. As someone is sharing on this screen, I'm going to ask that if you agree with them, you use the chat box by putting in a smiley face. If you think, oh, wow, okay, that's cool. I'm actually going to switch my mind. I think I'd rather have the other one based off of this. You're going to put that little like, whoa face. There's an example in the chat box. And that means that you're thinking about switching because of their explanation. So on slide 12, would the author of this tell us a little bit more about why they said, I would rather have a bigger brownie because brownies are awesome?
Okay, hello, that's me, Jerry. Well, I do enjoy brownies, and I'm thinking that if it's cut into 5 equal parts on the A's, that 1 out of 5 brownies will be a bigger brownie, and if I like brownies, that would be awesome. Where the B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 out of 6.
So you're saying
So
that
my
the A brownie is bigger than the B brownie?
yes.
And would you eat all of the A brownie?
I don't know. I guess it depends on how big it is.
Fair enough. All right, we're going to kind of continue this model and think about it as we look at the next couple. Feel free to put in a smiley face if you agree. You can put the ooh face if you're thinking of changing your mind. If you aren't sure or disagree, there's even like a little thinking face you could choose to use. And again, that chat box is over in your other window or tab in Collaborate. And if we head down to slide 13, would the author of this one tell us a little bit about, you said no issues among who gets more or less if you just use what is already determined as equal?
Hi, this is Linda. I'm from Boston. I like doing Would You Rathers, and I had an experience last fall with a group with apples, and the discussion became trust issues over who was cutting and would they be fair? Did they know how to do their fractions? So I just found it, some of my students are just impulsively going on, well, it's already cut, so whether I get more or less, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go with that size. Others did it just to kind of having to avoid kind of figuring out the fraction piece. So I find sometimes I have to be careful at what type of would I rather I put up there, because sometimes the math conversation doesn't go right to the math talk. It goes more to equitability of the food item.
Yeah, so kids always think about that. Man, what if someone else is cutting this one? What is it going to be like? And these B ones are already cut, so you know what you're getting. I see a
Mhm.
lot of thinking faces in the chat. Beth, would you like to share with us what you're still thinking about here?
Sure. I guess the the equity part of it was just like that wasn't something that I had considered when I was making my initial decision. So I was like, oh, I hadn't really thought about that part. And then teaching at a grade level where developmentally, that's equality is absolutely everything to these kids.
Yeah, what if we cut it like that and the fifth person got like that little chunk? I don't really know about that one. It's going to be a little interesting. On slide 14, if the author could share with us, you say, I want to share A with 5 friends. because there are fewer people to share it with. I know that it is less brownie to divide, but hopefully I get more. How do you see this, like hopefully, and what are you thinking here?
This is Sheila. I really don't have a brain on. I just couldn't handle figuring out which was bigger. Yeah, I've been thinking about it like, first of all, I wasn't sure whether it was a total of 5 people or it was me plus 5 friends. So that got me a little stuck. And yeah, so I guess with those 4 pieces, I don't know, do I have to cut them into a total of 20 pieces and then figure out if it's a total of 5 sharing? I don't know. I'm embarrassed here.
So that's really interesting that you say cut it into 20 pieces. And, because of the magic of online, we can actually make those 20 pieces, and we could even showcase that, right here with the pieces. Um, but that's not always going to be the case for kiddos. I do want to show how we can do this, though. Um, I can drag it so that it fills the full length. So there we go. That's it cut in 5, and you said you wanted 20. So there we go. We have actual pieces now cut up. And I thought it was kind of neat, Sheila, how you mentioned this. It made me think about brownie bites. And now they might be equitable, but is that still what you want? I see some other
Yeah.
thinking faces on there. It may have been for some different ones. Laura, can you tell us which one you had a thinking face about?
I had a thinking face about the one on 514 because I hadn't thought about who was cutting the brownie pieces. So that kind of got me thinking, just because I hadn't considered that. I would just assume that all the pieces would be cut equally, and the equity piece never entered into my mind. So that got me thinking.
I see. And my last question, everyone can feel free to respond in the chat box. If we were to grab one of these bee brownies and lay it right here, I should probably bring that to the front. Does this help us at all in deciding if we want A or B? Tell me your thinking in the chat box. And Jerry, can you tell us how you see the size comparison?
I think it just shows a great visual that you can see that B would fit into A, so A is obviously bigger. So if you wanted a bigger brownie, then you can see that.
So we can
Looks
see
like
A is bigger.
2/3. Yes.
And Debbie mentions if cut equally, A has a bigger portion. Debbie, can you tell us a little more? And Debbie, if you do get your mic doesn't work, no problem. And so we're going to put teacher hats on for just a minute. Some of the things I really wanted to gather out of here are this overlay, but this overlay with a piece kind of taken out, and comparing one piece on this side to the pieces on that side. And we can dive even deeper into this. It also leaves us ready for our pouring paint problem, which we're going to get into next. So as a reminder, the steps that I did on slide 7 was you responded, then you used your microphone to share and move the pieces, and finally connect in calling on people who had thinking or flipped emojis.